So for the day, you got an A, B minus, and a B. But when you add Tyree Wilson in it, again, you're through 3 rounds of the draft. You have 2 first rounders, and you only made 1 first round pick, and you got 4 immediate impact guys. I think the Raiders are doing good, and I still give their draft right now an A. Now, let's get into a little bit of the business, some things that went on. Again, the Raiders, you saw Dave Ziegler was very patient. He didn't overpay for anybody, and he kept exactly what he needed to do. In fact, he probably underpaid for Mayer. So that's a good thing on Dave's part. So what do you look for coming into day 4? Excuse me, day 3, rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now it changes a little bit. In the first 2 days of the draft, you don't take a lot of risks. You got to get guys that are impact players, guys that you know are going to be there. And the Raiders did that. But now you can take some risks. Now you can say, okay, a little bit of development. This guy may make it somewhere, but you can take a little bit more of the risk, and I expect the Raiders to. I know there was a lot of people surprised no quarterbacks were taken, but I had told you last night I would not be shocked if there was no quarterback taken today, and I wasn't. I am going to tell you a couple things. Raider fans are being really strung along on Will Levis, which made no sense to me. Will Levis was not an option at any point for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was not coming to Las Vegas. You say, well, why'd they bring him in? And why'd they do all of this? Well, remember, I told you, ideally, they wanted to trade their pick if there wasn't a guy like a Tyree Wilson or a Will Anderson there. So they did their job. So that was not an option. Hendon Hooker was an option. But Hendon Hooker was not a guy. I mean, they liked him. I'm not trying to say they didn't, but there were a lot of guys they liked. So if there's somebody on your board that you have, and I'm just going to say, let's say their boards 1 through 100, and let's say they had Tucker as a 25. Let's say they said, hey, you know what? We think he's a really good quarterback. Now, I know there was one quarterback that they had in their top 5, a guy that if he would have fallen, they would have picked him, but nobody expected him to get there. Then there was a significant let off. But in that next group of players is a Hendon Hooker. But and he was in there, and there was another player in there. But then there's another group of players in this next level that while they were not Hendon Hooker, they were guys they liked almost as much. So if you see a guy there and you believe in a Byron Young and you say, man, we got to get an impact at the point of attack on rush, plus look at his upside. This guy could be a steal if we're able to develop him as a pass rusher. Okay, you know what? We got him like it would say a Hendon Hooker is a 40, but man, we got this guy as a 20. All right, but look at there's still a bunch of really good quarterbacks that we have rated, maybe not as high as Hendon, but close, that I'm willing to take my guy and move in. I know there was a lot of panic. I saw some people on Twitter tweeting at me, well, I don't care how good the picks are. You just lost a franchise quarterback. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know anyone in the NFL that saw Hendon Hooker as a franchise quarterback. I know people in the NFL who thought he could become that, who certainly thought he had the talent to one day evolve in that. But let's not pretend, he was an elite quarterback that belonged in the first round. He's still coming off of injury. It's still, there. He's healing. But a lot of people said, they just concerns there. Let's just leave it there. So they go and they don't get a quarterback, which again, I prepped you for.